Hey everyone, welcome to the show. So, as you all know, Donald Trump dropped several bunker bombs on Iranian nuclear facilities on Saturday. Iran just retaliated today. So, I have updates to share about that war that Trump just started. We also have knowledge now and proof that he is totally lying about the reason for this war. I have news about why it looks like this could escalate to U.S. military boots on the ground in Iran. I also have some very interesting feedback from MAGA land figures, some of whom are opposed to what Trump is doing. Others are totally falling in line, like the cult members that they are. They are proving just how hypocritical they are, and I absolutely have the receipts to prove it. So I'm going to share all that with you. I also want to talk about what could happen next, what has happened, how this will absolutely tank the economy. And this may all be for nothing because it is now sounding like the U.S. achieved absolutely nothing with this bombing. This did nothing at all. It's also tanking Donald Trump's approval rating. So there's that silver lining. I will get to that as well. But before I get into all these details, please do me a big favor. Please hit the subscribe button below this video. Really, really helps the show. I greatly appreciate it. So here is the latest on this new war that Donald Trump has just started in the Middle East. Iran and Israel have been exchanging fire after the U.S. struck the Iranian nuclear facilities. The AP had reported that Iran launched about 40 missiles at targets in Israel. That was as of yesterday. 23 people had been injured in Israel as a result. And Israeli Air Force struck targets in 4 different Iranian cities. They hit command centers, missile launchers, and they hit an Iranian prison where they say that there are like political prisoners there, people that they're using to hold over the heads of other countries. Here's the thing. Donald Trump is now saying, oh, well, there's a ceasefire. Right before I jumped on to record today, he put out an announcement, he put out a statement on his failing social media site and said there's a 24-hour total, ceasefire between Israel and Iran. Well, guess what? That appears to be bullshit as well, because the Iranians have put out their own statement. One of their top officials put out a statement as well immediately after that went public and said, no, we have not been offered any kind of ceasefire agreement. We don't know what the hell you're talking about. So here's where things stand with our government. D Vance is claiming we're not at war with Iran. Really? You go bomb a country? We're not at war? And Republican lawmaker Thomas Massie, he's kind of persona non grata right now in the MAGA party because he's basically a libertarian. And so he is coming out hard against this. He is totally against it. And he issued a statement saying, when 2 countries are bombing each other daily in a hot war and a third country joins the bombing, that's an act of war. I'm amazed at the mental gymnastics being undertaken by neocons in DC and their social media bots to say we aren't at war so they can make war. He's amazed, you guys. Really? How is he amazed by this after all these years? We've seen this. This is like same song, different verse, right? How many times have we seen this over and over again? And then Pete Hegseth, Donald Trump's defense secretary, he said, quote, this mission was not and has not been about regime change. In fact, a bunch of Trump's allies have been coming out and saying, oh, no, this isn't about regime change. But regime change addicted neocons are cheering this on. So take a look. This is what John Bolton had to say on Sunday shows.
Well, let me say this unequivocally. I think President Trump made the right decision for America to attack Iran's nuclear weapons program. And I think we're on the verge of potentially seeing regime change in Iran as part of that. I think this is a huge change in the Middle East. It was a decisive action. It was the right thing to do. I thought somebody should do it for a long time, but better late than never.
Yeah. So John Bolton, cut from the same cloth as Lindsey Graham, has never met a war that he didn't love. And so I was like this many days old when I realized and discovered that the J in Donald Trump's name, we all thought it just stood for John. No, it stands for John Bolton. Yep. Donald John Bolton Trump. That's what we should call him from now on. I mean, America first, right? What happened to that? And here's how we know that Trump is lying about the impetus for this bombing. Because yesterday, Donald Trump posted again on his failing social media site, and he basically hinted that, yeah, regime change is an option. It's on the table. He wrote, quote, "It's not politically correct to use the term regime change, but if the current Iranian regime is unable to make Iran great again, why wouldn't there be a regime change? MAGA, or a MAGA, I don't know how you would pronounce it, MAGA, I don't know, MIGA, make America or make Iran great again." So Trump is making a liar out of his defense secretary and all these other people who, quickly got on to all the shows on Sunday to try to soothe the nerves of the MAGA crowd to say, oh, no, we're not doing regime change war. And then to make matters worse, we may not have accomplished a damn thing. So Vice President D Vance just hinted at the idea that, yeah, actually Iran moved their uranium before the attacks. So we didn't actually take out their nuclear capability. We didn't actually destroy their nukes and their ability to create nukes as we claimed and as Donald Trump claims. And an Israeli source kind of confirmed this. They said that the Iranians had 800 pounds of uranium that they moved to a different location, which was not one of the ones that was struck. So what was the point of this? We now have Americans in danger for a war started by Israel. And Russia just posited the idea that, well, even if the Iranians can't make their own bomb, they could just get them from another country. I mean, Russia has nukes, right? They're aligned. Iran is aligned with several countries with nukes. North Korea, Russia. So MAGA is split. They are very much split on this issue. Republican lawmaker Marjorie Taylor Greene posted on Twitter, quote, "Every time America is on the verge of greatness, we get involved in another foreign war. There would not be bombs falling on the people of Israel if Netanyahu had not dropped bombs on the people of Iran first. Israel is a nuclear-armed nation. This is not our fight. Peace is the answer." I have to say, she's making sense. I don't know what happened. I don't know if I'm taking crazy pills or if she's taking like antidepressants, but she's making sense. And she was on Steve Bannon's show today and she was fully went off on this. Now I'm going to play a portion of it for you. This video went on for like over 5 minutes. I mean, she was just going off. The one thing she doesn't say, the one word that doesn't come out of her mouth is Trump. She does say this administration, but as usual with all of these people, all these Trump pumpers, no one actually blames Donald Trump specifically. So take a look at this.
I didn't sleep better after neocons and warmongers talked this administration into entering a hot war that Israel started, because all of a sudden we now have threats on our homeland. We now have warnings from our State Department for Americans overseas. Qatar put out a warning to Americans to shelter in place. Americans in Israel are terrified for their lives, as well as the Israeli people are terrified for their lives because bombs have been falling in Israel. I represent MAGA. far more than Mark Levin or any of these other neocon suck-ups ever will and ever do, because MAGA is not for foreign wars.
Yep.
We are not for regime change, and we are for America first. A lot of these people are going to be dead in 10 to 15 years, but my kids' future matters to me. And right now, their generation can't buy a house. They can't afford insurance. They can't get good paying jobs. They can't afford groceries. They can't afford to buy a car. They can't afford gas. They don't know if they're ever going to be able to save money for their retirement because they're barely making it paycheck to paycheck. And I am so angry about this. So all of them have crossed my line. And you want to know what I have that Mark Levin doesn't have? I have a voting card, Steve. 6 months in, Steve, and here we are, turning back on the campaign promises. And we bombed Iran on behalf of Israel. Yes, it was on behalf of Israel. We're entering a nuclear war, the World War III, because the entire world is going to erupt. And you want to know the people that are cheering it on right now? Their tune is going to drastically change the minute we start seeing flag-draped coffins on the nightly news, on Fox News that brainwashes all the baby boomers, and on CNN that brainwashes all the Democrat baby boomers.
I mean, I never thought in a million years I would agree with this nut. I never thought I'd agree with this nutcase, but here we are, right? Strange bedfellows. I mean, she didn't say anything wrong there. She didn't say anything that wasn't true. And yeah, I mean, for anybody on the left who's watching CNN, you need to turn the channel, because I am now rebranding them. They are now Constant Neocon News, because that's what they're doing. They're bringing on everyone and anyone who is on board with this, and you're not going to hear anybody telling the truth. MSNBC is a little more mixed from the coverage I've picked up from them. Some are for it, some are telling the truth. But yeah, the fact is they did not have nuclear weapons. And they were not close to having nuclear weapons. And our own intelligence agency told Donald Trump that. So here's what I think this is really about. I think that this was the perfect excuse and cover for Netanyahu and for Trump, right? The heat is being turned up on Netanyahu because people are just disgusted and beside themselves about this horrific treatment of the people in Gaza, of the Palestinian people, and of this genocide that they're perpetrating with our help. So it's not looking good for Netanyahu and Israel. It's not looking good for Trump on multiple fronts. He is also going along with the genocide. He's no different than the Biden administration. If anything, he's given Israel even more of backing and ability to do what they want to do and turned a blind eye. His poll numbers are down. His numbers on immigration and inflation are horrific. People are turning on him on the two biggest issues that he's known for, that he always did great on in polls. And his presidency is flailing. He doesn't have a single confirmed, in writing, actual negotiated tariff deal. After all of these months, you know, they said 90 deals in 90 days. They don't have a single one actually in writing, signed, sealed, and delivered. So his presidency is in tatters. It is a complete and total shit show. And so I think this was the perfect way for both of them to distract from their, you know, what's going on domestically with them on a political level. And, you know, here's the thing. Trump humper MAGA influencers are turning against him. Some, like I said, are going along with this, but others are not. So the Haj Twins, I've mentioned them before, they keep posting about this issue. And in one of them, they wrote, quote, "Nobody cared about Iran's nuclear program until Israel attacked them. But we can't say that because we anti-schematic." Now, these two, I don't know. I don't know if that's a joke. I don't know if they honestly think that that is the way you say it, because they're not the sharpest knives in the Henkel's holder, I'm just going to say. So I don't know. I don't know if they actually realize that it's anti-Semitic. But anyway, Many other MAGA minions immediately did an about face. They're pretending like they're totally on board with this bombing and, oh, this is so great. And, we can't let them get nukes and blah, blah, blah. They're getting nukes either way. Like I said, Laura Loomer is the biggest hypocrite. So she is now posting support for this. Here is what she said, though, in the past on this very topic. Quote, "Today, Nikki Haley went on CNBC and called for the U.S. to bomb Iran. Nikki Haley wants more war in the Middle East, which means more dead U.S. soldiers. The only person who has proven that he won't create more wars is Donald Trump. Donald Trump is the pro-peace candidate." So, yeah, I guess Loomer now is okay with more dead U.S. soldiers. As long as it's her apricot antichrist who's causing their death, she's totally cool with it. She's going to champion it. And think about what this means. Donald Trump is now aligned with Nikki Haley. The same Nikki Haley that his supporters called a neocon and said she's a war hawk and she will get us into war and she never met a war she didn't like and blah, blah, blah. And that she's no different than, the neocons of the past, of the Bush and the Cheney, and all these other people. So think about that. Donald Trump is now Nikki Haley. He is now doing what Nikki Haley would have done. And here's the really important thing is what comes next, right? We've already seen retaliation. The Iranian government voted to close the Strait of Hormuz. Now, they have not done it, but their parliament has approved it in case they want to do it. That means oil prices are going to shoot through the roof if that happens, because about 20% of our oil is transported via that waterway. Also China. So now Trump is pressuring China to get them on board after what he just did to them with the tariffs. So, like I said, oil prices are going to spike. Our gas is going to spike. The stock market was already reacting to this on Sunday. The stock futures for oil and gas went through the roof because everybody was like, yeah, prices are going to go up. Woohoo! Time to make money, time to cash in. And Iran just launched missiles at 2 of our U.S. military bases. So one in Qatar and then one in Iraq. And, now Trump is playing it off. And there is some reporting that, this was all staged and they gave him a heads up and he knew that they were going to strike these bases, blah, blah. I don't know if that's true. But we do have tens of thousands of military members within striking distance of Iran. So if they want to do this, if they really want to retaliate, they can. And remember, after Trump killed Qasem Soleimani, they did hit one of our bases. They severely injured some of our military members, some of our service members. They ended up with severe head trauma. And here's the thing and what this means. If you zoom out, why would any other nation trust us? Why would Iran ever trust us again? Even let's say Donald Trump is ousted, in 2028, he actually leaves office, whether, by force or just because he does, or, because he's no longer with us. Look forward to that day. But why would they ever think that they can be safe trusting the USA again? And I don't just mean Iran, but any country. Because Trump lied to them. He said, we're going to negotiate. We're going to continue with negotiations. He broke that promise. Israel started bombing them. We're going to wait 2 weeks. And then we're going to make a decision. He broke that promise or that, went against that statement. So every country now has to be looking at this and going, okay, well, even if Trump is out of office, let's say a Democrat wins next time and we get everything back on track. Who is to say that once again, with the United States having this archaic, ridiculous way of electing their president, with our electoral college system, that we're not going to end up with 35% of America electing another crazy maniac, another unhinged, unwell person. And then we're going to be right back in this situation again. I mean, why would they ever trust us going into the future? And every country is now going to want nukes. Every country is now seeing this happen. They've seen what happened in Iraq. They saw what happened in, Libya and all these other countries. And they're going, well, dang, I got to get some nukes because that's the only thing that's going to save me. That is the only thing that will keep America from bombing our country. And, now we, as Marjorie Taylor Greene said, now we have to worry about more terrorist attacks here on American soil. They're now saying, oh, there's sleeper cells. Now, whether that's true and they're just trying to make people aware, or whether they're using that as an excuse to crack down and, put us in a state of more militarization, more of a police state, I don't know, but that's what they're saying. And as I said at the beginning, the only positive is that this is destroying Donald Trump's approval rating, because a Reuters Ipsos poll was conducted over this past weekend after the strike, and Trump dropped to 41% approval rating. So that is the lowest for this Reuters Ipsos poll. In other polls, as you guys know, recently, he was down in the 30s. He now has a 57% disapproval. So that means some Republicans are on board and disapproving. And a plurality in that same poll, 45%, said that they disapprove of this bombing of Iran. So we are in danger now. We were not in danger before. They did not have nukes. Now they're going to rush to get them. Now they're going to hide it. We will not know. They're going to absolutely hide whatever they're doing from us. And now they absolutely have the impetus to create nuclear bombs. So, but don't worry, guys. I have some comforting news for you, really. We don't have to worry, because Trump's crackpot team, they're on it. They're going to protect us. Like this guy I'm going to show you. So this guy here is Thomas Fugate, I think is how you pronounce it. He is 22 years old. He just graduated from college a year ago. He has no experience in terrorism, no experience in law enforcement, no experience in national security. He was recently employed, though, as a gardener and as a grocery store clerk. And he is now leading the Center for Prevention Programs and Partnerships. That is a division of the Department of Homeland Security that is in charge of overseeing terrorism prevention. So don't worry, guys. We have 22-year-old, no experience, grocery store clerk, whatever the hell his name was. This kid, he's on it. He's going to protect us. What could go wrong, right? What could possibly go wrong? Anyway, I will let you know when I hear more. Thank you all so much for watching and listening. Please like, please share, and subscribe. Please donate if you can. Love you all. Take care. Talk with you soon.